Hello everybody! Today is a really important day. We celebrate the first Undertale anniversary! Yay! On September 15 of 2015, we had this beautiful game released to the internet, and oh boy, even though it's been just a year, the game has managed to create a really huge fandom with thousands and thousands of people making more new content every day. So to celebrate this, I was thinking maybe an animation, or maybe just drawing, or maybe just me talking about it. Well, and the best way to celebrate the very first anniversary is to show people how little they know about the game itself. That even after a year, this game can still surprise you with really shocking things. As you can read in the title, yes, I am going to be having a theory here going on, but I want to point out that at least the first half of this video, it's not a theory at all. Like, the proofs me and my friend Beer have found, it's pretty much legit. Like, there's no way that someone can argue with that. I'll make sure to point out when the theory starts and when I stop saying facts here. So I am going to explain how Gaster created Flowey, and further on, probably the reset button. So I'm gonna show you all the proof that I have to support this wild theory. Warning though, there are some big spoilers ahead. So if you wanna, enjoy Undertale as a game, I recommend you to play it first before watching this video. I promise it'll be worth it. If not, well then, stick around with me and we'll see what the whole theory is about. I want to shout out my friend Veer here, that we both created this theory. We've been working on it for some time, and just recently we found out really important facts that support our theory more than ever. So having that out of the way, let's move it with it. So, let's start off with a bit of backstory here. Theorizing, in what year does Undertale actually takes place? A lot of people seem to believe that the game takes place shortly after 21X. However, I invite you to view the timeline in a different light. What if the game actually took place nearly an entire century after Kara's fall into the underground? In Toriel's house during the pacifist neutral run, there is a calendar you can interact with that states there's an old calendar from the end of 21X. A date is circled on it. However, this text changes during the genocide route, where Kara is much more active about how they interact with things, when it says the date I came here. Now, judging by the events of Undertale routes, we can tell that the events of Undertale, Kara and Ezreal's mission, happened quite a long time ago, and after Kara, 6 more humans fell down before Frisk. This gives us a good idea that it took quite a while for us to enter the underground. Now, judging by the facts above, we can safely guess that the events of the game actually occurred during 210X, almost a full century after Kara fell. Crazily enough, this is supported by Papyrus. His online name is CoolSkeleton95. Often people use their birth year as the numbers in their online usernames, and since Papyrus only showed up recently and acts fairly young, we can guess that the date couldn't possibly be 1995, and so it must be 2095. This is also supported by the fact that Papyrus has no idea what a human looks like, which means he must have been born after all 7 of the other humans, including Kara, have fallen and died. Now, we'll work with this approximate date for the game itself. I'm going to get into the real theory, Well, not so much of a theory like I said at the beginning of the video. Gaster created Flowey. It's actually something I can confirm you guys and will do. But the ability to reset, save and load, it's actually connected to Gaster and, to every major moment of the game. Now, what proof led us to believe that Gaster and Flowey are related? Well, the True Love entries. For one, entry 1 through 8 are written in a very specific manner. The punctuation and capitalization is correct and proper. The dialogue itself is more formally written. Overall, the first 8 entries are way more professional. During these first 8 entries, we learned that the monster determination experiments have begun, Flowey was chosen as the vessel, and the experiments have started full swing. However, at the same time, Hamstablook, also known as Mettaton, has written his first diary entry, as we can see here. By getting the mystery key and going next to Napstablook's house, we can find his diaries. In the first entry of Mettaton's diary, we can see that it's actually really sad that Sharon's sisters fell down, which is a way for monsters to say that they died. If we keep reading through Mettaton's entries until we reach number 6, we can see that only then Alphys comes up with the idea to make Mettaton his robot body. And here, it's suspected that she made Mettaton to impress Asgore, as well as give her, her friend a body, as Caddy and Brady states next to the Mettaton hotel. So, what is that all up to? Well, Alphys made Mettaton to impress Asgore either before she became the royal scientist or very, very shortly afterwards. We know that she was not the royal scientist during the initial monster experiments, since, as we can see here, we can clearly see that one of the amalgamates even has the clear resemblance of Sharon's body. This means whoever was the previous royal scientist had started the experiments and chosen Flowey as a vessel. And who could that be? It was Dr. W.D. Gaster. Further proof is that Gaster will know who Toriel is. Here, as we can see in entry 8, it clearly says before the queen left. Alphys has no idea who Toriel is in the end of a pacifist route. She even confuses her as a second Asgore. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that, as we know, the golden flowers appeared when Kara and Azrael died. And considering the time that these entries were written, we're talking about someone who was there before Kara died, and that actually knew Asgore's garden before all these flowers even began to grow. So there's no way that Alphys could have known which one was the first flower, only someone who was there when it actually happened. So now, we've proven that Gaster started the experiments on Flowey. Alphys, of course, made a part in it, but Gaster chose the vessel covered in Azrael's dust. This is where the theory gets a little wild. Now, we know Gaster disappears after True Lab entry number 8. The writing style dramatically changes from entries 9 to 13. Just by having a small comparison between one of these entries, you can clearly tell that this was not an accident, that the entries were written this way for a reason. Now, in entry number 11, we can confirm that Alphys is the author. This one shows that Mettaton has a relationship with the author of the entry, proof that this style of writing is done by Alphys. However, entry 14 and 15 are written differently than either 1 to 8 or 9 to 13. It is my belief that the author of these two entries is none other than Sans. Now, we know Sans and Alphys know each other from the epilogue after the True Pacifist ending. Here we see a dialogue. Alphys knows Sans well enough to predict what he'll say. Sans reacts quickly and covers it up with a joke, but the proof is there. Sans has also given Alphys dog food, proof that he knows endogyny, and he probably even fed the amalgamate dog. Now, using this, it is very easy to speculate that Sans wrote entry 14 and 15, placing him as a scientist in the True Lab. We know that Sans is into science, based on his owning of physics books and his own laboratory behind his house. Now, entry 17. This is quite interesting because there are two entries 17. We're gonna call 17.1, which is written by Alphys, and 17.2, which is with no doubt recorded by Gaster. Recorded, you say? Yes, recorded. Entry 17.2 is read to us when we find it in the game files, because what we, as the player, know as game files, monsters know it as the void. What Gaster is doing in the void is impossible to tell, but there are some things that occur that makes us believe he did not stop experimenting. We'll get back to his experiments in a moment. First, we have to find out, why didn't Gaster die from his accident? Whatever that may be, right? Well, I have two beliefs. One, he may have injected himself with determination, or whatever experiment he was making had to do with determination. Now, every monster filled with determination becomes a goopy blob of what it once was. The model we believe to be Gaster inside the Grey Door looks quite goopy. This being would have had parts of himself dripping off. whenever the accident occurred and he fell into the core, he was erased from the timeline. What happened to these blobs of Gaster? Well, one of Gaster's followers give us a really good idea of what can happen to it. He even says he's holding it in his hands. So these parts that dripped from Gaster when the accident happened that stayed in reality tried to become him again, but of course not having enough substance, forming again didn't work. So they could only form the head. Now, it could be a complete coincidence, or maybe it was just Toby trying to creep us out by having one of Gaster's followers holding a piece of him, but this is supported even further by a monster we encounter in game. This amalgamate is called Memory Head. This amalgamate is quite unique. Its act options are very similar to our own. But why could that be? Only the being that has more determination can have this kind of options, right? Now, we know that after Gaster's disappearance and Alphys' arrival, when Flowey was awakened, there had to be a gap of time. And who had the most determination in that time? Well, I believe Memory Head had it. Now, the amalgamate can't even talk properly, so it wasn't able to exactly control the timeline, but he had the options to. At this point, whatever cataclysmic event Gaster created by falling into the core had already occurred, and Flowey was primed and ready to wake up. Once your best friend fully understood what was going on, the Memory Head lost a little control of the timeline it had. Now that we have some proof that Gaster was either injected or got caught into the accident with determination, let's take a look at why he's responsible for the ability reset. So, we know that before Gaster's accident, no human was able to reset. None of the 7 human children were able to save or load. Not even Kara, whose soul is a determination soul, just like Frisk's. Not even the humans on the surface can reset, and that's because there's one difference between the surface and the underground, and that's the core, the place Gaster fell into during his accident. If we put this in a whole timeline, we can see that before a certain event that happened, there was no ability to reset, and clearly from this point on, there is an ability to reset, save, or load, and it only works in the underground. Now, even the Gaster followers mentioned that Gaster fell into the core. This machine powers all of the underground, from the first time we entered to the ruins to Asgore's garden before the exit to the surface. The moment a human enters the underground post-Gaster accident, if they have enough determination to override whoever has the power at the current time, they gain the power to reset. This makes it so that only the underground is caught in the save load reset paradox after Gaster's accident. To sum it all up, Gaster created Flowey. He got caught in the accident with determination or injected himself with it before falling into the core. This caused the underground to enter a time paradox where whoever has the most determination gains control over the timeline. And well, that's the theory that me and Veer made for this Undertale anniversary. Having this said, I also realized a couple of fun facts, like for example, I can say that the core wasn't something that Gaster thought of create from one month to another. The core is actually really old. By judging which place in the underground has electricity, we know that the ruins in Atoriel's house would have lamps installed all over the house, which means that there had to be a sort of thing to power it with electricity. And of course, as the underground started to expand, Gaster probably started to make the core bigger, and ultimately reaching Hotland, and finally creating the core that it's the main source of power in the underground. But with this, I can at least confirm that Gaster was alive. Probably he was sent to the underground along with the other monsters shortly after the war ended. And I could keep going on, but this video is gonna be super long. I want to leave you guys with these thoughts that at least I can confirm 100% that Gaster is responsible for choosing Flowey as a vessel, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, by analyzing the entries' writing styles and Mettaton's diary entries. Now, what is theory, of course, is that he is responsible for the creation of the reset button, but this just makes a lot of sense because it is a fact that none of the children could reset before something happened, and then whatever happened made the underground, and only the underground, work with this determination time paradox. This is really interesting. I hope that you guys enjoyed the video. I love Undertale so much, as you can see. And for this anniversary, I thought that it was a really good way to celebrate it by showing you guys that even after a year, this game has a lot to offer yet. Thanks to Toby Fox for creating such an amazing game, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.